Hey, this is Marius from Global Freedom Solutions, and in today's video we are going to talk about the non-dom status in Cyprus. And we at Global Freedom Solutions help entrepreneurs, investors and freelancers to significantly reduce the tax burden, set up companies worldwide, get residency, second citizenships and find the right banking solution. So if this sounds interesting to you, you are also very welcome to subscribe to our channel. And now let's start with today's topic, the non-dom status in Cyprus. And I want to show you the main advantages of the non-dom status in Cyprus. And you can often find different information about this online, but in my opinion, sometimes not enough. And sometimes you will even find the wrong information. For me, it's important that you know what the key aspects are of the non-dom status, how you can get it, what you need to consider in any case, and what tax advantages you have, of course. So these are the key questions for me. First of all, to qualify for the non-dom status, you must spend at least 60 days a year in Cyprus. Of course, this does not have to be all at once, so essentially you can spread it out over the year. When you enter Cyprus, for example, the day you arrive counts as a day in Cyprus. When you leave, this does not count as a day spent in Cyprus, and this information is particularly important for you if you have to make a sharp calculation and are not significantly over these 60 days per year in Cyprus. But normally, to be honest, that's not a problem at all. So in almost every case, our clients easily manage to spend these 60 days per year in Cyprus. And what makes this particularly easy, so you have a great climate in Cyprus, great people, hospitality, the sea, the mountains and much more. I just want to say that Cyprus is a really great place to live. The second requirement, and also a very important one, do not spend more than 183 days or 6 months in a single different country. For example, if you spend more than 183 days per year in Spain, you will trigger tax residency in Spain, and then you will be subject to unlimited tax there on your global income. And conversely, this means the non-dom status in Cyprus is no longer of any use to you. So essentially this means that you simply travel more, have several residences, or want to live in Cyprus for most of the year anyway. The next requirement, you should have a residence in Cyprus. So essentially not a hotel room, you should rent a house or an apartment for the long term. Or second option, you can buy a property, of course, and this is particularly worthwhile in my opinion due to the long period of the non-dom status, because the non-dom is valid for 17 years. So it definitely makes sense to think about buying and not just about renting. What you also need to know, proof of residence must also be provided. If you want to know all the details, I would be happy to explain them to you in a personal meeting, of course. The next point, and also a very crucial one, you need a connection, so essentially an economic connection to Cyprus. This could be that you are the managing director of your company registered in Cyprus. It could be that you are employed, or that you are simply registered for tax purposes. In the end, you always have to look at it on a case-by-case basis, of course. I am not a fan of this categorization. So the important thing is that you meet these criteria, and then you are basically entitled to the non-dom status. Important to mention, this is not a problem, but I want to mention it for the sake of completeness. You must not be of Cypriot descent, otherwise you are not entitled to the non-dom status. So those were all the requirements. What does the non-dom status actually mean now? What are the tax advantages? In Cyprus, there is something called Special Defense Contribution, or SDC. Put simply, this is a tax on capital income, rental income and interest, and this tax does not apply to you as a non-dom. So if you spend more than 60 days a year in Cyprus, you have this tax exemption for 17 years. So if you receive dividends from Cyprus or abroad, for example, these dividends are completely tax-free. You only have a social insurance contribution of 2.65% on this income. However, this is also capped at 180,000 euro per year. So that's around 4,800 euro social insurance contribution per year. And in return, you are also covered by statutory health insurance. However, as said, this no longer applies to anything over 180,000 euro income per year. So for example, if you now make 1 million per year, let's say, you will pay a maximum of 4,800 euro and not 2.65% on the 1 million euro income. So if you structure your business correctly, you will have a very moderate tax burden. With a Cypriot limited company, for example, you pay 12.5% corporate tax and together with a social insurance contribution, this means you pay a maximum of approximately 15%. And this is, to be honest, extremely moderate compared to the rest of Europe. You know it, in other European countries, you often pay a total of 40 to 50% in taxes. And in Cyprus, you have no other taxes or duties. And this is what makes the non-norm status so popular. In my point, the decisive factor is also flexibility. You only need to stay here for 60 days a year. You can travel, you can have several residences. And secondly, the long duration, so you are guaranteed the status for 17 years by the Cypriot Ministry of Finance, and this means that you can plan securely with the non-norm status and its tax benefits. And Cyprus is a very reliable jurisdiction, so there are a lot of foreigners in Cyprus, a lot of Europeans in particular. It's very easy to exchange ideas, it's very easy to connect with other experts here. I personally have experienced the same thing in Dubai, for example. So I have lived in Dubai for 2 years. I have also lived in Cyprus. And in my opinion, Cyprus is in no way inferior to Dubai. So if you are interested in the non-norm status in Cyprus, maybe you are already considering moving to Cyprus, maybe you need some more information about this non-norm status in Cyprus, then you are very welcome to click on the first link in the description. I will come back to you then very, very quickly. And we can elaborate your current situation together. We can find out if it makes sense for you to move to Cyprus. Maybe you have some questions about this non-norm status in Cyprus. And if you need some help to move to Cyprus, if you want to set up a company in Cyprus, if you want to apply for this non-norm status in Cyprus, we are also very happy to assist you in this procedure. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next one. Bye.